So, for this three-parter, I think it's safe to say that dub haters are going to hate me because the dub got all three parts. Now, I want to explain myself on that one because it's twofold. The first is I think Weevil's evil, no pun intended. You know, Weevil's douchebaggery is a lot more uh, works better than uh, whatchamacallit, than Haga's. There's very distinct things that Weevil does compared to Haga that I think just works better, right? Say goodbye to Yugi, for example. Just works better. And I feel like his taunting is less. His taunting dialogue is less fucking irritating to read. Weevil's taunting dialogue is better to listen to than Haga's dialogue is to read in the subtitles because you know. But of course, we'll of course get into that as we go. So the way I've structured this is actually a little bit different than I usually do because the way I usually do it is I usually just, put my notes all together. Now, depending on the episode, I don't really usually have that much to talk about, but I knew for these two duels specifically, I was going to have a whole stack of cards to talk about. Now, admittedly, I actually had less to talk about than I thought because some of these are actually anime exclusive cards. And I tend to not bother with anime exclusive cards. Not really. Unless, they're relevant to the actual thing. For example, I talked about Judgment Blaster still, having, the buff guy with the nuke on his back in the English version, right? You know, later today, Alex might actually go ahead and, and re-show that. But no, I actually don't have that much to talk about with when it comes to actual cards that were actually created, which does actually help. But the problem is that I feel like people saying, "Oh, they created some of the cards. That means this is more watchable," isn't actually as much of a thing as some people might think. At least for me personally, because there's still fuck tons of cards in this arc that never were released ever. In fact, the duel so far with the fewest amount of anime exclusive cards is the Garimo duel still. No, seriously, think about it. The Garimo duel has the fewest number. It has one. Magical Academy. Hey, right? Because Obelisk is a real card. Marauding Captain's a real card. Warrior Digrepher's a real card. Makira the Destroyer is a actual card. Hidden Soldiers is an actual card. Right? Shallow Grave is. Dark Renewal is. Warrior Returning Alive is. The Allied Forces is. Card of Sanctity is. I mean, you get the anime version of Card of Sanctity, yes, but there is an actual TCG OCG counterpart for Card of Sanctity. What else was there? Obviously, the Magnet Warriors, Queen's Knight, all that stuff. All that stuff is there. Literally, the only card I can think of that's anime exclusive is Magical Academy. Go figure. You know. Hell, even Watapan's a real card. Thanks for that movie pack. So, yeah. But no, in this one, we actually have multiple cards that are actually anime exclusive. Pheromone Wasp, Nemesis, he says Parasite Caterpillar, Poison Butterfly, uh, Kaitotera, and Hornsaurus. As well as Chain of the Underworld and Celebration of Creation. Those are all anime exclusive cards. They do not exist in the real card game. Some of them I kind of wish did, right? Especially a card like Celebration of Creation. Oh, look, you use a spell or trap to call forth a monster. Your turn's over. Now, granted, that could be game breaking, but is it any more game breaking than creating several archetypes where it's you're the first, you go first or you lose? Like the modern game? Yes, I'm still bitching about it, but that's because there's actual excitement, right? It's actually part of the reason why I don't think they're ever going to make another uh Master Duel anime, if I'm honest. Because how the hell do you write a Master Duel show without without it devolving into what the real card game is, right? Because at least in the end, at least with the DM era, you actually had, some combos and some interesting ideas, and there was interesting, lore and characters that you could actually latch onto, and actually, in spite of the duels, that's why, you know. The DM era is often mocked, the DM anime is often mocked as being the one that if you translate that into the actual TCG and OCG, you know, pretty much the entirety of the cast gets curb stomped. Even Kaiba, frankly, which is actually kind of what they take into account during the scripted duels for the most part. Yeah, a couple of times they've used anime effects in the scripted duels, but for the most part they actually stick to the real cards. So, specific cards work the way they actually do in those scripted duels, for example, you know? Well, except for Relay Soul, but let's not get into that. We'll talk about the Relay Soul play when we get to a duel with darts. That's not going to be for a bit, right? For quite a bit, right? Yeah, we've still got like 20 episodes to go through before we get to that point. So, including a couple of, in my opinion, dumb episodes coming up, but we'll talk about that later. We'll talk, and by later, I of course mean next week. Hopefully not from my perspective, but that depends on how much, if I run out of time editing this video. Because yes, I am watching the episodes, recording this video that you're watching right now, and editing it all in one day because I don't have a choice. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna take that YouTube dark when I finish Shining Force. Anyways, but let's rewind here. Alright, so the episode starts off, they're heading off, and Atem is suffering from depression. Rebecca tries to insist that she come with. I will save my darling, right? I want to save Yugi, yada yada yada. And Arthur says, no, it's too dangerous. Far too dangerous. And I'm actually now okay. Admittedly, when I watched the episode, I was like, you know what? I'm with Arthur on that, right? It's far too dangerous for Rebecca to join. Except for one simple kind of question mark, actually. Why doesn't Rebecca duel outside of that one time in this arc? Now you could say, well, remember what happens in that duel during Deck of Armor Blue Wolf, and fair, absolutely fair. But the thing is that this kind of goes right back to what I was saying about the fact that there's only 3 soldiers of Doma making no fucking sense. Hell, we haven't even encountered the actual fucking like Sentai mooks that Darts has at his disposal yet. I'm dead serious. We haven't actually encountered that. I didn't even think about that until just now because I was like, Wait, have we even? Because the back of my brain was like, we haven't even encountered the Orichalco soldiers yet, have we? And the answer is no. We're actually going to encounter one in 2 weeks, I want to say, because we have to have the most pointless fucking duel in the entire anime next week. I'm dead fucking serious, by the way. Now, I gave Best of Friends, Best of Duelists, right? The Yugi and Joey and Duelist Kingdom duel, some shit for being pointless. Yes. That one I could at least see an argument for kind of being a showcase of how far Joey's come during Duelist Kingdom, and and kind of being a how does he match up to the main character, right? How does the would you call Joey a Lancer? Whatever. Joe, how does the best friend compare to the MC, right? How does Vegeta stack up to Goku? Kind of thing. Well, I guess Krillin standing up to Goku would be a better measuring stick, but you get my point, right? If Vegeta wasn't trying to constantly surpass Goku, I could see that as a friendship thing. So I guess in this analogy, Vegeta would be more like Kaiba, and Krillin would actually be more like Joey, which is actually fitting because, in my blunt opinion, Krillin got the hotter wife. I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not apologizing for spitting facts. Chi-Chi, the statement I will make about Chi-Chi is UGLY. You've got no alibi. Hey, you fucking ugly bitch. I'm sorry. I've never thought Chi-Chi looked hot. I'm sorry. I've never found Chi-Chi attractive. Go ahead. Go ahead. Hate me. Hate me. I get it. But no, Chi-Chi was never hot to me. I was more in the Bulma camp. I thought Bulma was honestly pretty hot. And the fact that she's a goddamn super genius and doesn't lose that aspect of her character when a baby gets put in her is even better. And considering that the baby that gets put in her is Trunks, well, you can kind of you can kind of see what direction I'm going in that. So yeah. Wow, I got off on a Dragon Ball tangent in a Yu-Gi-Oh video. Weird. Anyways, to get back on track, Rebecca, in my opinion, Rebecca really should have been allowed to duel more. She should have had some wins in this thing instead of just getting bodied by the most pointless villain in the entire fucking the most pointless villain in the entire fucking show, and one that will fuck my character over even more so thanks to this arc. Oh yeah, we're not done fucking my over yet. As I said, we're gonna continue to do that. There's literally like three points are left in the fucking my over category. Well, I guess depending on how you count that cameo in the final episode's credits, 4, but I'm only gonna count 3 because they're only really that devastating in 3 camps, right? Because I could actually see an argument for the cameo's not really. It is only all. Well, okay, technically 5 if we count both cameos, but the cameos I could see somebody arguing don't really count and are only arguably bad because the rest of the show will do fuck all with her. Again, the problem is that this arc, some people argue that this arc was trying to effectively unfridge Mai. The problem is that, spoilers, this arc will fridge Mai, and arguably harder than fucking Battles of Season 2 did. And I mean that sincerely. Like, at least at least season 2, Mai got a couple of good fucking hits in on Yami Merrick before Yami Merrick fucking bodied her. Which is funny because she went up against a scrapper, lost, and then thought she could take on Arnold Schwarzenegger, Igor's cousin. sorry. Real. I'll stop. I am still fucking pissy about what they do to Mai in this season. I'm sorry. I'm still pissed. And fuck you, Ryuuzaki, for bringing her up too. God, I fucking hated that. We'll get to Ryuuzaki's bullshit later. Anyways, so Tem's depressed. Both Tei and Anzu's antics are not funny. Like, at all. She tries to cheer Tem up, but it doesn't work. I do like that Joey gets it, though. Oh, because, now, granted, I do prefer it. I like it in both versions, but I do prefer how Joey says it, because in the sub, he just declares that I, Janochi Katsuya, will save all the souls, right? Okay, a hero declaration. That's good. That is good. That is good. That is Joey. That is him. We're good. That's good. What isn't good? Well, sorry. No, I'm saying this wrong. What's even better, though, is Joey flat out telling the others, give him time. This hit him hard. Give him time. I like that. I also like how I also like the way Tem's despair is done in the dub, right? Because in the sub, it's I'm sorry, Aibo. You know, in the dub, it's he's giving in to despair. I've lost him forever, right? Which, in my blunt opinion, that sentiment, that thought going through his mind, actually makes his mistakes during the during the Weevil duel make so much more sense. Because again, he's so fixated on trying to find a way to get Yugi back, that it makes sense. Now you could argue that I'm sorry, Aibo gets that point across. Gets that point across as well. I would argue it's actually less so, mostly because of how, uh, because again, the whole idea is just supposed to be he's sinking into despair. He's depressed because he knows it's his fault, right? That's why I made the suggestion of, have Raphael force him to use some kind of card to force him to activate the Seal of Orichalcos. Because again, then you get the Alan Richard thing from Trails of, I still did that. That was still something I did. Which is funny because I actually didn't bring this up 2 weeks ago, but or last week, I'm pretty sure. But there was a point in time, there was a point in time where I got fired from a job. Okay? And it was because of some commentary I made. Some words that I said that, would be construed as, well, let's not beat around the bush. I was saying pervy things at work, and that got me canned. Rightly so. I want to stress that part. Rightly so. I was fired from a job because I made obscene comments which are inappropriate for the workplace. I mean, there's a reason why NSFW stands for Not Safe for Work. My commentary was NSFW, and that's a big no-no. Sometime later, what was it, I think it was like a month or two later, comes up to me and says, "Oh, you should look into, you getting fired because, those people are, taking advantage of you getting fired." My reaction was very simple and very blunt as to why I wasn't going to look into it. Because I said, because I told her, That doesn't change what I said. I got fired because of shit I said. And there's no denying that I said it. You know? Okay, yeah, they're taking advantage of it, but that's not the reason I got fired. I got fired because of shit I did. Just punishment. Just because they're taking advantage does not change the fact that I deserve to get canned. There's a difference, you know? Which apparently makes me qualified to be the US president, but let's not get into that. Actually, no, I'm underqualified because you have to be even worse than that, don't you? I'm sorry, I shouldn't bring politics into this. That's as far as I'm gonna go with that joke. Anyways. Um, but anyways, no, the point here is that that's how Yugi feels, right? He's effectively, Atem is basically saying, it doesn't change what I did. And I feel like that should have been the arc that he was going on here, right? I did this. I made that choice. Oh, you know, or sorry, to be more accurate, it should have been forced on him, and therefore his entire arc here is my darkness screwed Yugi over. It doesn't matter if Raphael did that or not. I screwed up. My darkness did that. Just as Blue Wolf's perviness got him fired, and rightly so. Right? Because, again, Atem. See, Atem is on a guilt trip right now. A massive guilt trip. He is, for all intents and purposes, he feels like he's at fault for what happened to Yugi. And obviously, there are multiple people who, well, I shouldn't say multiple people, but there is at least one person who agrees with that sentiment. And that's Rebecca. God damn it. There is at least Rebecca who agrees with that sentiment. And again, understandably so. Because she doesn't like the fact that Yugi's gone. Yugi's gone. All his fault, and she's pissed about it. And the fact that she can't even go with them to go and save Yugi stings. It stings for her. Stings so hard for her, right? It sticks in her craw. And again, rightly so. Oh, right. Now, obviously, the I've lost him forever thing is cheesy. But at the same time, I still think it fits better. So, just making that clear. I also prefer Darts in the dub, making it very clear that he's behind the train. Because see, this is the funny thing. I know some people would prefer the subtlety of just kind of us cutting to Darts in order to, insinuate that he's responsible for a lot of the weird shit that happens. I prefer making it crystal fucking clear what's going on in my story, right? Not in a like a mwahaha, mwahaha, I'm going to explain everything in every intricate detail kind of thing. But just in a way so that we understand and clearly in no uncertain terms what the hell is going on, right? So for example, getting distracted. Need to stop. So for example, how do I phrase this? So for like this train example, right? I prefer us understanding full tilt that Darts is the one doing that, right? And this is just the beginning, right? Implying that there's more to come. It's like with the boat that we randomly cut to at one point. It's pointless in the sub because it's literally just and now Darts is kneeling there menacingly, whereas in the dub it's actually and now I will demonstrate my power. You know. I prefer. I have to question. So the train splits apart. So the train gets empty. It is empty. It suddenly is empty. And then they start to investigate. Right. I don't know why Anzu went with him. I mean, granted, it was a split second decision, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much. But it was still kind of like, huh? But yeah. So then telling the boys to go get help just works better for me. And then Rex and Weevil show up. Now, Rex makes no sense in my opinion, and Weevil is more appropriately evil in the dub, in my opinion. Then both the dub and the sub do make one mistake in part one. They say at nauseating length, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it when it comes to activating the Seal of Orichalcos. Guys, they're holding the fucking stone. It's too late. Wait. Shut the fuck up and kick their asses. I'm sorry. I know that makes me sound like a fucking dick to Ryuuzaki. And Ryuuzaki's gonna return the favor by being a complete fucking asshole who needs his head bashed into the ground. But I'll get there. But Weevil is evil. He's always been fucking evil, and he has always needed his skull bashed in. I'm sorry, but that Insector Haga is one of the most evil fuckers in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Not the most evil, because Divine exists, so we're in 5Ds. Trust me, we'll get to that fucking child-murdering psychopath when we get there. Yes, child murdering. We'll get to it. But yeah, it's really fucking stupid. Also, Rex's vendetta makes no fucking sense. To me, honestly. So the duel starts about halfway through the episode, and I have to admit that I know I've complained about that. The duel starting halfway through the first part of an episode. But no, in this case that feels right because there's build up to the actual duel. Plus, I got to be honest with you, outside of like one scene, I actually don't think there's that much this three-parter actually doesn't feel padded, weirdly enough. Even in the dub, I didn't feel like this three-parter was actually padded. It didn't feel padded. If it had been one more episode, it would have been padded to fucking hell. But it wasn't. So here we are. So Joey tries to reason with Rex about activating the seal, which is still stupid, but Then there's the repetition of the stakes. Whoever loses the duel loses the soul because they activated the seal. Great. And then there's a bit that I actually have to laugh at. So there is a shot that is actually in both the sub and the dub. And that's Teia's ass coming right at the camera. How did that get past 4Kids? I'm sorry, 4Kids. How did you miss that? That is literally ass in our face. What? What? Was Teia's booty just too powerful? You had to put it on screen? What? God. I mean, I get the idea is supposed to be that she's just flying back, but like, it's literally, you literally could have edited that as where it's just like, wah, and then cut to her immediately grabbing the edge of the train. But no, they went out of their way to include the ass in her face shot. What? Just what? I'm sorry, I had to comment on that. I was like, what? And don't look at me like, oh, they would do that. They've done that with literally multiple other things. Anyways, on to part 2, where Tristan is completely useless. Reading my first note there. So the dub having Rex hate on Scapegoat is pretty stupid. Weevil is continuing to taunt at him, just completely taunting him, like, "Why, you've lost your better half," and yada yada yada, and taunt. Anzu says something really fucking stupid, in my opinion. Shut up, you cheater. Now, I get the I think what is meant here is that he is a cheater, and that's why she's calling him that. But the thing is that it was weird because it felt like she was saying calling him a cheater because of the taunting. The taunting is not cheating. Taunting is not cheating. It's you being a dick. There's a difference. Not unlike my webcam's focusing and my lack of focus on this fucking webcam being a dick. The webcam is not cheating, it's being a dick. There's a difference. So and Haga has actually got an interesting counter to Anzu. People will hate you for being arrogant if you keep running your mouth like that. Yeah, there's a lot of people who really don't like Anzu because, well, she is a bit arrogant. She is quite arrogant. And I'm actually in that camp, by the way. I know a lot of people like Anzu, and there's nothing wrong with liking Anzu, but I always found her fucking obnoxious. And I mean no disrespect to the dub actress. Amy Bonsbaum, I believe it is. You know, no disrespect to the dub actress, because she does a good job. The problem is that the lines that she's given are terrible. Again, it's that script that gets in there, and it's just like, oh my god. Right? So, meanwhile, over at the Rex Duel, well, this is where we get into. This is where we get into Rex and Weevil being petty. Now, Weevil doesn't give a fuck. Weevil knows his explanation for why he turned evil is ridiculous. He doesn't give a fuck. I'm evil, so what? I've always been evil. Haven't you been paying attention? One of the first things I did on screen was throw Exodia into the fucking ocean. Yeah, I think I'm evil. Thanks. Orichalcos or no Orichalcos. But Rex is a different story. Rex talks about how he hit rock bottom after he and Weevil got booted out of Battle City pretty early. Or Duelist Kingdom pretty early. And obviously Battle City didn't help. And then they started getting screwed over. But the thing is we also see them take a rare card in exchange for their autographs. And then they get their shit beat out of them, a dog pees on them, and that's somehow Joey's fault. Credit to Weevil on this one. He actually doesn't blame Yugi for it. He just wants to beat Yugi for the sake of beating Yugi. Rex actually genuinely blames Joey for his misfortune. And I'm sorry, I'm with Joey on this one. Both Joey and Jinochi basically say the same thing. Get a fucking life, you fucking loser. Now, obviously, Joey and Jinochi both put it bluntly. Like, Joey's upset because it's like, come on, man, you can't be serious blaming me for everything going wrong, right? Because of one loss. What the fuck is that shit? And Jinochi basically says, you really think you're alone in that? Now, Ryuuzaki's point is, you can't feel our pain because, you win and all this other shit. No, Rex. Mai has been mind-fucked by a fucking cult leader. And your antics are so goddamn petty that you willingly joined a fucking cult with your evil, stupid bestie who should have had his skull bashed in a billion times over by now. How? You hunt around with a fucking loser like Weevil instead of just moving on, maybe finding another hobby, another source of income? No, you stuck to being a card player. That's it. That's your only claim to fame, is this one fucking card game. And Joey managed to defeat you, and you don't just move on? Get another job? Find another hobby? Something? No. I'm just going to sink into despair and steal shit from people because I'm a fucking petty asshole. No. Just no. Frankly, I think that dog should have taken a shit on your face. Hey, Ryuuzaki. Would have gotten the fucking point across. Sorry for getting so angry at this. But that is what gave the dub the fucking point. Because in the dub, you expect that kind of thing, and Joey's retort is a lot better. There's no fucking clapping back, heck, with stupidity, right? Fuck, I hate it. And then Crunchyroll fails the dub part side of this by having the final scene cut, which is just wow. What the fuck was that, Crunchyroll? But anyways. So then we move on to part 3, and this is where the swapping between the two duels was getting a little obnoxious. So yeah. Ryuuzaki continues his stupid logic. Red Eyes betrayed me! Red Eyes was won from you in a fair duel. Fuck off. Ugh. I'm sorry. I hate hate Ryuuzaki so fucking much. And yes, I'm saying Ryuuzaki specifically because Rex is actually fine. He's not good, but he's better. Oh my god. Uh, that I'm going to talk about when I talk about the duel. That I'm going to talk about when I talk about the duel. Well, I do like that when Joey beats Rex, he declares that he's going to save them. He's going to save all of them. So that's cool. And after Weevil is defeated, Rex. After Weevil and Rex are defeated, the part of the train that Anzu and Atem are on derails, and I prefer Darts' panic. Right? No, I need him alive. What the hell? In the dub, much prefer that. Much prefer it. So now let's talk about the duels themselves. I'm probably going to structure this similarly when we get to you know what? I might just do this for all the duels going forward now that I'm thinking about it. Because I think that would actually just work better, in my opinion. Obviously not for stuff that I've never seen before, so when we get to, and slash stuff that I don't remember very well. Yeah. So let's start with the Rex duel. So Rex starts off, he special summons a couple of Gillosauruses and a anime exclusive dude called Kaitotera. So Gillosaurus is a very interesting monster because it literally just summons itself. It literally can just special summon itself. And I kind of love it. Love it for that. Which is funny because, yeah, actually, if you're thinking, wait, he could just straight special summon it? Yes. You are allowed to special summon Gillosaurus. In fact, it's the perfect card to go ahead and special summon right at the beginning of the duel, because then your opponent's graveyard is empty. See, Gillosaurus effect literally lets you special summon it, but when you activate that effect, your opponent can summon a monster from their graveyard. Heard. But of course, Joey didn't have anything in his graveyard, so there you go. So then Rex calls out an anime exclusive fusion monster called Hornsaurus, who can attack directly on the first turn. Some scapegoat plays is Jurassic Heart, which is basically just essentially it's a trap jammer for whatchamacallit. Then Tyrant Dragon shows up. Tyrant Dragon is interesting because honestly it's actually a decently strong dragon. Again, I kind of like it. It can attack multiple monsters in a turn, which is actually pretty good. Which is why, of course, Rex uses Chain of the Underworld to bring back Red Eye so he can be a dick to it. Never letting that go. So then Joey whips out the very first instance of card lore. He summons Gearfried, and then he talks about the story of Gearfried, right? Gearfried was a swordsman who feared his might, right? Thought he was so overly powerful to the point of being insanely way too damn strong. So he locked himself in an iron suit and became Gearfried the Iron Knight. Reduced his power in order to keep his power from getting out of control. And now is the time to release that power with release restraint. Tribute Gearfried the Iron Knight on your field for Gearfried the Sword Master. Pretty powerful card, as when you equip an equip card to him, monster on your opponent's field is instantly destroyed, which is what happens to Tyrant Dragon. Now you might think, now granted, what's funny is that you know, in the dub, I love how Rex in the dub is just like, oh, that swordsman can't help you. Who, ha 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 ha. Joey reveals his Claw of Heremos. That, on the other hand, might help you. As stupid of a line as that is, I actually kind of like it because it's just kind of the quiet realization of, oh, well, fuck. You know? So then, in the Claw of Heremos creates Red Eye's Black Dragon Sword, my personal favorite of the Heremos fusions. No, I'm dead serious. That is my favorite of the fusions, of the Heremos fusions. I guess technically we have seen my favorite of the whatchamacallit. Of the Timeaus fusions. It's Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. Although, I will say Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight is actually awesome and should have been a thing in this frickin' series. I think it's a better monster than Amulet Dragon, if I'm honest. I don't even remember its effect, honestly. But yeah, so Gearfried uses effect to destroy Tyrant Dragon, and then a direct attack from Gearfried the Swordsmaster with Red Eye's Black Dragon Sword at 4100 attack brings the duel to an end. And that's the end of Rex. Bye, Rex. See you next arc, where you'll get trounced by the second worst villain in the series. So over in the Weevil Duel, we have some bug cards that that are anime exclusive. Pheromone Wasp, Nemesis, which is basically just relieve monster. Let's be real. It literally operates the exact same way. It's when an insect is attacked. Just make it relieve monster. It's that simple. So then, Weevil whips out the Insect Barrier and DNA Surgery combo to keep Poison Butterfly from attacking him, and every other monster too. That's what DNA Surgery is for. Which prevents its attempt from getting through. And then Poison Butterfly shows up, and then we get to the point where Poison Butterfly is about to destroy... It is about to destroy the rest of Atem's life points, but then Breaker the Magical Warrior uses its special ability to go ahead and use its spell counter after it got drained by 100 attack to lower itself to 1500, so that Atem could pay Weevil back for his ripping a Gokubo card trick after Timeaus abandons him. So let's start with Timeaus abandoning Atem. I meant to talk about this earlier, but Timeaus abandoning Atem makes sense. And I know some people might say, well, wouldn't that make Timeaus petty? It make Timeaus petty? If, he abandoned him there. Yeah. But at the same time, I kind of feel like you could have just kind of combined this, right? I almost feel like you should have done the Spirit Quest first, and then fought Weevil, and then just have, that would be a way to get Dark Magician the Dragon Knight on board, But, whatever. So yeah, Timeaus abandons the Tem, so he has to switch over to a different tactic, namely Berserker Soul, the legendary meme. And I don't even need my notes for the rest of this. So Berserker Soul. Berserker Soul. Let me go ahead and say that, well, yes, the Berserker Soul scene, I stand behind the Berserker Soul scene being better in the sub than it is in the dub. The rest of the episode sucks in the sub. So, yeah, all 3 points to the dub for this week. But let's talk about the Berserker Soul scene. Because I described this one to my best friend Steve, and he was like, that sounds like the scene is better, better dubbed, right? Because I actually have a better way to explain why the Berserker Soul scene, in my opinion, is better in the sub. It's a Tem going nuts. It sounds like a Tem's becoming a dick. Like a Tem is a dick in the fucking dub. I feel sorry for you. This isn't going to end. And, well, let's see what the next one is. Oh, well. Hell, let's keep going. What? No, make it a fucking Berserker Rage. Right? That's why, it's such a powerful meme. Because, yeah, it's a meme, but at the same time, it's a powerful scene when you're watching it, especially in the sub, because it's Draw! Monster CARDO! Draw! Monster CARDO! Because, again, it sounds stupid when I say it, but when the Japanese voice actor is yelling Draw Monster CARDO constantly, it sounds like he's out of his mind with rage. Which he's supposed to be, because he just believed that Haga ripped up the only chance he was ever going to have to save his partner. Of course he's pissed off. Why wouldn't he be? That in my opinion, is what makes that scene better in the sub. That scene is better in the sub, but the rest of it is just, fuck off. There's so many little things about the sub version of the episode that just tank it, in my opinion. Just absolutely dip it into nothing. And that's part of it. But that's on the wrong track. That is the Runaway train duel. Yeah. I was surprised how much I ended up liking this one. I was all prepared to try to look at this and go, there's going to be problems with it. And there were. It lowers it by 1 tier, though. Which is funny because, again, as I stated from memory, A New Evil was the best duel. I'm not sure if I agree with that right now. Anymore. I gave A rank to that. I might actually think this one's better because of the dub action. I will say the episode, I will say New Evil, the 2-parter of the New Evil, the premiere 2-parter of this season, is a better 2-parter than this is a 3-parter in terms of like the actual episode. But of the duels, no, I think these are better because there's a lot more action, there's a lot more tension in the duels, and again, there's some pretty awesome shit in it, including, the introduction of card lores, a great legendary dragon play from Joey, and an iconic meme that, despite its meme status, is actually really good. So that's it for me. Oh, 55 minutes of yapping about this episode. But anyways, I'm gonna chop this off. I'm gonna get, because like I said, I gotta get editing this damn thing. And I will see you guys next time for the most pointless duel in all of DM. We'll talk about it next time. Later. Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one. Duel standby.